I'm Helen Keller. I was born June 27, 1880 in Alabama. 2 years later, I had brain fever. When my mother thought it was finally over, she was wrong. She had noticed when the dinner bell rang and I wouldn't come, and when she put her hand in front of my face, I wouldn't move. The doctor said I would never be able to hear or see ever again. I had a feisty childhood. One time, I was too close to the fireplace and my apron had caught on fire. I was screaming. Luckily, my neighbor heard me screaming. She ran over to help me. When the fire was out, I calmed down. Another time was when my little sister came along and I was mad. She was playing with my... What are you doing? She was playing with my dolls. I threw her up in the air and luckily my mother was there to catch her. But if she was not, then she would have been killed. When I was 7, I was sitting on the front porch and I felt vibrations of a footstep. I thought it was my mother. I ran up and hugged her, but it did not feel like my mother. It was a stranger. I snatched his hand back and searched for candy. My mother took it away. I threw a tantrum. When I calmed down, the stranger wrote hand on my hand. I had no idea what was going on, but in time I learned. The stranger's name was Ann Sullivan. She was my teacher. She wanted me to learn how to write, but a handwriting changed over time. When I was 13, I was already very popular. When I was 15, I wanted to go to college. You can put those down. I went to Cambridge School for Young Ladies to get ready. 4 years later, I took a test for Radcliffe College. I passed. I entered Radcliffe College in 1900. I'm not done.
Then why do you keep freezing?
In 1903, I wrote and published The World I Live in. In 1904, I graduated from Radcliffe College. In 1905, my teacher, Ann Sullivan, fell in love with John Macy and got married. In 1913, I wrote The World I Live in. In 1924, I worked at the American Foundation of the Blind. With Ann Sullivan. In 1936, Ann's eyesight was almost gone. She was taken to the hospital to be treated, but it did not work. That night, Ann died. In 1955, I wrote and published Teacher Ann Sullivan. In 1936, June 1st, I died in my home. I wanted everyone to know, no matter who you are, you're always special.
Hi, my name is John Chapman. Please call me Johnny Appleseed. I lived a very, very long time ago, 1774 to 1845. I'm famous for planting apple seeds in Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. I planted my first apple seed in 1830. I was born on September 26, 1774 in Massachusetts. When I was 2 years old, my mom and my baby brother died. Since I was so young, I do not remember either of them. My schooling only lasted a few years, but I loved to read. On my travels, I did not dress like common folks. I wore a tin pot hat on or a coonskin hat on my head. And my empty coffee sacks I made into my shirt. I carried a gun, a small hatchet, and a knapsack. In my knapsack, I kept apple seeds and food. Most of the time, I never wore shoes, but I had shoes. I held them most of the time to keep them in shape. Let me tell you a little bit about my life. Every fall, I would go to the cider mills to get apple seeds. Then I would find a spot to plant them. In the winter, I would repair fences. In the spring and summer, I would check on my apple orchards. From 1821 to 1836, I expanded my business into Ohio. With the money money I made from selling apple trees, I bought extra land for my apple orchards. I planted. My last few years, I was buying and planting in Indiana. I've always loved animals and nature. Since I was a little kid, and I spent my life around the things I love. I may have not changed the world, but if I was not here, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania would not be the same.
I was born on July 24th, 1897. I became famous because I was the first person to fly across the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. The most important thing that I did was fly across the Pacific. The first girl across the Atlantic Ocean. The first time I saw a plane fly, it changed my whole life. Why I'm important today because I flew across the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. I disappeared while flying across the Pacific. While I was flying across the Pacific Ocean, nobody knows where I went since then.
Hi, I'm Anne Frank. I was born in 1929. Some changes in my life was being in hiding for 2 years and being sent to a concentration camp. At the concentration camp, I died from typhus in 1945 after my sister Martha died. When my dad was set free, he found someone to publish my diary. I am famous for my diary and the situation I was in. The situation I was in was the killing of the Jews.
Why did you kill all the Jews? Why did you kill Jews?
Hello, I am Walter Ellis Disney. I was born December 5th, 1901. I'm famous for Disney parks, color and black and white movies. Color and black and white cartoons, full-length movies and sound cartoons. I was Mickey in one of my shorts called Steamboat Willie. I had a nice mom and dad. I had 3 older brothers named Roy, Raymond, and Herbert. I had a younger sister named Ruth. I was a very hard worker. I worked at my dad's newspaper company by delivering papers on my route. I also worked after school at a candy store and a drugstore. When my aunt gave me a notebook and a pencil because I loved to draw. When I was little, when I was 10, I took a comic course. One that was delivered in the mail. I would take it everywhere with me. One day, a guy named Tony asked me to make him comics every week. To bring more customers. I went through many changes in my life. I got new jobs or quit or lost jobs. I moved to Kansas City because my dad thought the city was a bad place to grow up. When I was 23, I married Lily, a very, very beautiful girl. A few days later on a train to New York, I created Mickey Mouse. I had 2 kids named Sharon and Diane. I changed the world by making the first full-length movie. Sadly, I died of lung cancer at the age of 65 on December 15th, 1966.
Hi, my name is Wilbur Wright. I was born in Removille, Indiana in 1867. My brother Orville Wright was born 4 years later in Dayton, Ohio. When I was 26, my brother and I opened a bicycle shop in Dayton. While working at the shop, Orville and I flew and tested a biplane kite. Just a year later, we conducted the first glider test flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Then in 1903, we flew the first man-controlled machine at Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. My brother and I received a patent from the U.S. government right after we developed the first practical airplane. 2 years later, the U.S. Army agreed to purchase the Wright Flyer, and the Wright Company was formed. The U.S. Army used the Wright Flyer in World War I. I died in 1912, not related to a plane crash. My brother Orville continued our work until he died. There was a national memorial dedicated to my brother and I at Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
Hello, I am George Washington. I was born in 1732 and died in 1754. I changed the world by making it more free by signing a Declaration of Independence, which freed our country from Great Britain. The things that were most important in my life were when I was born, when I was married, when I was in the war, and when I died.
Hi, I am Benjamin Franklin. I have one children named William Franklin. I was married to Debord Reed and Francis. I had a newborn baby named Francis, but he had died 5 years old. Then I had a newspaper business. And then I first started out doing soap. I worked at my father's soap business so I can get the money to work with my brother James Franklin so I can work with him on trains. So I worked for trains, and then I got enough money to open my new newspaper business, and I have a picture of the soap business and then the newspaper business. And then on April 17th, I died. Nice job.
Hi, I'm Martin Luther King Jr. I was born in 1929. I changed the world because whites and blacks or colors didn't get along. And I had my dream speech, which made whites and blacks be together. And I had 2 children. I got married once. I went to university to be a minister, and I got shot in 1968.
I was born January 30th, was president for a long time. I was 32nd president of the USA. I died during my 4th term. I married Eleanor Roosevelt on March 17, 1905. I became ill with polio in 1921. I became New York governor in 1928. In 1932, I became president of the U.S. 1932 through 1944. I died April 12, 1945. I changed from boarding school to Harvard University. I got married, had children, and became ill and became president. I led the U.S. through the Great Depression and World War II. I will never tell people a lie.
Hi, I'm Amelia Earhart. I flew across the... Oh, wait. Hi, I'm Amelia Earhart. I was born in 1897. I flew across the Atlantic alone. I saw the Wright brothers fly. I flew across the Atlantic. I got married in 1931. I saw a plane on a field in 1920. I visited my sister in 1917. I traveled a lot. I was a tomboy. I went to many schools and I flew across the Atlantic.
I am Fordia Magellan. I was born in Portugal in 1480. I am famous because I made a journey around the world so I could prove the earth is round. In 1496, I became governor. In 1505, I went to war against the Arabs. In 1509, I was wounded in war. I was wounded a second time in war. I moved to Spain in 1515. I finally found El Paso in 1520. Sadly, in 1521, I died in a war against the Philippines. I had to change how I lived when I got married. I had 2 children. When I got wounded the second time, I had a permanent limp. In the War of the Philippines, I got stabbed so much I literally fell to the ground and died. I changed the world by proving that the world is round. I almost made it around the world, but my crew finished the route to Spain.
Hi, I'm Abraham Lincoln. I was born February 12, 1809 in Kentucky. I became president of the USA. I served as a volunteer in the Black Hawks War in 1832. I got elected Illinois State Legislator in 1834. I received license as a lawyer in 1836. I married beautiful Mary Todd in 1842. In 1860, I got elected the President of the USA. My house burned down and I had to rebuild it. I won Republican presidential nomination. In 1861, I was forced to leave my house because the war was going on. I became president and made laws so everybody could be safe forever. I made a speech. This is what it was. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, convinced in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men were created equally.
Hi, my name is Madam T.J. Walker. My real name is Sarah Breedlove. I was born December 23rd, 1867 in Louisiana in a cabin. My mom and dad were slaves. I was the only one born free. My brothers and sisters were born as slaves. I invented the hair grower. My hair started falling off, so I used Pope Turbo hair products. Then I made my own hair grower. I had my first baby, Layla Walker. After several years later, I started having the Kennedy disease.
I died on May 25th, 1919. That's my life.
Hi, my name is Thomas Jefferson. I was born on April 13th, 1743. There are 5 important things that happened in my life. 1, I was in the Boston Tea Party. 2, I wrote the Declaration of Independence. 3, I fought in the Revolutionary War. 4, I was your 3rd president. And 5, I was also your vice president. The changes that I had to make was being the 3rd president and fighting in the Revolutionary War. The changes that I made to war was ending all slavery in the 13 colonies and freeing our 13 colonies in the Revolutionary War.
Hi, my name is Amelia Earhart. I was born in the year of 1897. I'm the first girl to ever fly across the Atlantic Ocean. In 1899, my sister was born. In 1937, I announced I would fly from Hawaii to California, which is 2,400 miles across the Pacific Ocean. In 1929, I finished one of my flights. In 1937, I took off for my around the world trip. The year of 1912 was a sad year for me because my grandmother died. When I was little, our family moved around a lot. I changed the world by letting people know that girls don't have to stay home and clean the house. I disappeared in 1937 on my trip around the world.
Hi, I am Abraham Lincoln. I was born in 1809. I was famous for being the 16th president. I've had a lot of important things in my life, like getting married, having children, being president, and getting shot in the theater. I also went through a lot of changes in my life, like getting married and being the president. I have changed the world by changing the laws. I died in 1685, or 65.
Hello, my name is Ronald Draper. I was born in 1911, February 6th, and died on 2004. And it died June 5th, 2004. I was the 40th President of the United States. My presidential term was from 1981 to 1989. I was also the 33rd Governor of California. 1967 to 1975. I also was a radio, film, and television actor. I had married twice in my life. My first marriage was to actress Jane Wyman from 1940 to 1949. With my first wife, we had three children, and I say three. My second wife was actress Nancy Davis. We had two children. In my early political career, I was a Democrat. However, my views shifted to the right, and I embraced the conservative Republic views. My campaign views in 1980, when I ran against the current president, Jimmy Carter, were very basic. My views were that, number 1, taxes needed to be lowered in order to stimulate the economy. 2, less government involvement into people's lives. 3, give states their rights. 4, have a strong national defense. And 5, restoring the U.S. dollar to a gold standard. During my presidential terms, I had to deal with various global wars, as well as the wars at home, the war on drugs. My final public appearance was at the funeral of former President Richard Nixon on April 27, 1994. August of 1994, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. This disease is an incurable neurological disorder which destroys brain cells, limited to death, and I lived for 10 years with this terrible disease. I was 93 years old when I died.
Hello, my name is Harry Houdini. I was born in 1874 and died in 1926. I was the third oldest of 7 children. Many people know about me. I just happen to be a very famous escape artist and magician. One of my more famous shows was when I jumped off a bridge into water wearing chains and escaped. I moved to New York with my father when I was young. Unfortunately, he died a few years later. Soon after, I married Bess, a beautiful young woman, and she joined me in my act. My show became a success, and I bought my mother a very beautiful, very expensive dress that was made for Queen Victoria. Once I bought an airplane for a show. It was outdoors, though, of course. As my career came closer to an end, I started having myself buried underground wearing chains in a coffin. I inspired many people. My escapes were so death-defying that many magicians tried to copy my tricks, and I never backed down from a new challenge.
I'm Harriet Tubman. I was born in 1822. What I did was very important. I helped stop slavery. In my life, I escaped from slavery and got married twice. I went through a lot of changes in my life. Like when I got married my first time, and when I escaped, I had to leave him behind. And when I got married a second time, when I helped stop slavery, I changed the USA.
Hi, I am Barack Obama. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, 1961. I am hoping to be president for 4 more years. I am famous for being the first African-American president of the United States. Some important things that happened in my life were my mom getting me married, and I moved with her to Iraq, Indonesia. Then I moved back to Hawaii with my grandparents. I graduated from Columbia University. Then I got a job being a community organizer in Chicago, Illinois. Some important changes in my life were moving back and forth from place to place, Hawaii and Indonesia. Then I met Michelle Robinson. Next, I graduated from Harvard Law School. After that, my dad had died. What I did to change the world was becoming the 44th president and the first African-American president.
Hi, I'm Milton Hershey. I'm the guy that made milk chocolate Hershey's. I have a wife named Kitty, and I've made many inventions with chocolate, and we had no children. I was 93 years old when I died. Forgot to put this back. Forgot that. I'm supposed to eat a Hershey.
Hi, I'm Samuel Adams. I lived from 1722 to 1803. I'm a very important colonist. I went to Harvard University. My cousin is another important colonist, John Adams. I was married twice. My first wife died in 1757. I have 2 children. I traveled along with my cousin John and Paul Revere. I refused to ride horseback until John taught me how. I've made changes like moving to Massachusetts and becoming a leader of independence in politics. I'm Samuel Adams, and I helped free America.
12, 1929. I died December 31st, 1944, shortly after my sister. The people of my family's names are Edward, which was my mom, Otto, which is my dad, and Margaret, which is my sister. I am famous because I was a Jewish child and I kept a diary throughout my life. When the Nazis took over the government, my dad decided to find a new home. I moved away from Germany in 1933. I received a red Tucker diary for my 13th birthday. My first diary entry was in 1942, shortly after I received it. Sadly, on September 3rd, my family and I were sent to a concentration camp. I died there from typhus. When my dad was released, he found my diary and published it in 1946. Before I went into hiding, Jewish people started being restricted from some activities in shops. We put on the shop at stores owned by Jewish people. I became famous because I inspired people to look at the brighter side of life through my diary.
Hi, I'm Neil Armstrong. I was born in 1930 and died in 2012. I'm famous because I was the first person to walk on the moon. Here are 5 things I went through in my life. 1, I was the first person to walk on the moon. 2, I got my pilot's license when I was 16. 3, I commanded Junior. 4, I fought in the Korean War. And 5, I went to college in 1947 and graduated in 1955. Here are some other things that went on in my life. In 1947, I fought in the Korean War. In 1950, I got married to my wife, Janet. I had my son, Eric, in 1949. I had my daughter, Karen, in 1962. I had my daughter, Karen, in 1969. My daughter, Karen, died in 1962. I'm famous because I was the first person to walk on the moon.
I have a question.
Hi, my name is William Henry Harrison. I was born February 9, 1773 in Charles City, Virginia. I got married on November 25th, 1795 to Anne Tuffhill Simmons. I was in the Army in 1811. I became a war hero after fighting Indians at the Battle of Tippecanoe. I also was a farmer. My grandfather died in 1744. My nickname was Old Tippecanoe, Old Tip. I was the 9th president in 1841. I have 6 sons, 4 daughters. I was president for 1 month and died in 1841 in Washington, D.C. I died of pneumonia in 1841. I was the first president to die in office. The Vice President, John Taylor, took my place. I was buried in Memorial State Park, North Bend, Ohio.
Hello, I'm Paul Revere. I was born before and lived through the Revolutionary War. I am famous mainly for my midnight ride. I'm also famous for my silverware. I was born in 1734. Later, I took over my father's silversmith shop in 1754. In 1757, I married Sarah Orne, and she died years later, and I married Rachel Walker the year she died. In 1775, I made my famous midnight ride yelling, "The regulars are coming." And 1818, I died. I had 16 children that lived to be adults. I settled down after the Revolutionary War in which I had served. I changed the world by warning people about the regulars who saved lives.
Hi, I'm Elvis. I was born in
1935, and I had a twin brother, but he died. When I was 10 years old, my mom got me my first guitar. Later on, I made my first song, and I recorded it by myself for my mom. And I went to the Army. I could only go home a little bit to visit, but when I was in the Army, my mother died. I spent some money to help my mother, but there's nothing I could do. Then I got some money for singing songs, and then I bought Graceland. Later on, I took my friend in the Army. He gave me some sleep pills so I could sleep, and then I took them a lot, and I died in the bathroom from drugs.